So there's definitely some current trends that are affecting both publishers and advertisers just in the overall digital advertising space. One would definitely be diversifying media channels. Another would be optimizing for LTV with a much higher emphasis on retention. There's definitely a focus on emerging markets, which we've touched on at a few points today. And then also just ensuring privacy standards are upheld. Is we really went all in on programmatic. And we did that through Mintegral, which is the programmatic arm of Mobvista. And that really allows us to deliver really competitive demand to global developers that are developers that have global supply. But one key to creative performance that often gets overlooked is ad fatigue. Many times a growth manager will see a decline in installs. They'll adjust their bids, they'll adjust their budgets. They might even adjust the network where they're trying to acquire users. But in reality, if you look at the creatives, sometimes they're stagnant, 3, 6, 9 months, a year or two old, I've heard in some cases. And in reality, if you just change your creative strategy to have some new, fresh, and relevant creatives, it could lead to a better creative strategy.
Hello everyone, I am Anubha for MobileAppDaily, and today in our tech series, we have Greg Castro with us. He is Vice President of Global Partnerships at Mobvista. Greg has over 2 decades of business development experience and has been associated with many esteemed organizations, including Yahoo. Thank you so much, Greg, for joining us today, and how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so let's start by talking about you. For our audience who may not be familiar, could you tell us about your role and background at Mobvista, the company's mission, and the goals you are pursuing for the company within the mobile technology industry?
Definitely. Getting started with a little bit of background of who I am. As you mentioned, I have over 20 years experience in tech, with over half of that focused directly in digital advertising. I've worked at both large corporations as well as startups that really fall into 3 main categories. I've worked for large publishers, I've worked for programmatic platforms, as well as SaaS platforms. Examples, as you mentioned, Yahoo. I've also worked at AOL. I ran the publisher business at Mobi, which is a programmatic platform. And I ran the publisher and programmatic business at Celtra, which is a SaaS platform for creative automation. In regards to my role at Mobvista, this is a new role and building out a new team. As you mentioned, global partnerships. As that sounds, very standard business to business partnerships, managing companies like how we work with the Googles and the Amazons of the world. Very similar to them, Mobvista has many different products and services, just like a Google or Amazon does. And instead of each business working in silos, the idea is to have more of a global, holistic approach to how we work with these large tech partners. But beyond that, this team is also responsible for building out the go-to-market strategy for our SaaS products. And that's something that this team will be working on. Now, as far as the Mobvista mission goes, that is twofold. It encompasses both our evolution as well as our ambition. Now, our company was born in Asia, but we've been able to really grow and prosper globally. And that's allowed us to really be able to provide a gateway to success in a completely competitive and global marketplace. And one of the things that guides us, or what our guiding principle is really to be the bridge. And what we mean by that is bridging the East and West with really deep ad tech and MarTech expertise. And as a global company that has grown globally, it's really allowed us to really kind of focus and broaden that vision. And this is where the ambition piece comes in. We've built a hub for app developers, tools that really allow app developers to have solid and sustained revenue growth. And we help app developers from the inception of their app through the full life cycle, what I like to call from infancy to full maturity. And that includes tools for things like optimization, analytics, monetization, as well as user acquisition.
Mhm. That sounds great. So you spoke about being the bridge. Moving forward, I would like to know, as the monetization and user acquisition process has become increasingly difficult, could you discuss some of the strategies that are effective in ensuring growth from the early stages to mature stages of an app's lifecycle?
Definitely. I think the key word there was strategy. And for that strategy to be really effective, it really requires pinpoint accuracy on that tactical execution of that strategy. And one of the ways that we've done that from a monetization perspective is we really went all in on programmatic. And we did that through Mintegral, which is the programmatic arm of Mobvista. And that really allows us to deliver really competitive demand to global developers that are developers that have global supply. One other way that we've been able to do that is through in-app bidding, and we've been able to achieve that through in-app bidding through some of the partnerships we've done, such as with Google AdMob, which really allows us to connect premium demand to apps that are really looking to scale revenue globally. You also mentioned user acquisition.
Yeah.
And there's multiple strategies to implement from a user acquisition perspective, but it really depends on where the app developer is in the overall stage or overall life cycle. And that can include things in regards to both managed services and self-services. And that's things that we offer here at Mobvista, again, depending where that app developer is. We've also launched target ROAS bidding, which launched within the Mintegral programmatic platform, that really allows the ability for app developers to acquire users at scale while maintaining ROAS. And all of this is done through advanced technology and algorithms. And what we've been able to do is really help app developers ultimately achieve higher conversions, maintain that target ROAS, and really allow scale and improve overall performance and efficiency. One of the other things that's important is just the overall media buying process. Many growth managers or UA managers have to log into multiple platforms, whether it's Facebook, Google, TikTok, or the other SDK ad networks beyond Mintegral, like a Unity and an AppLovin. We've been able to create more of a one-stop shop, a one-stop cross-channel media buying platform to really improve the overall media buying process. But also, a major consideration when it comes to UA is also creative. For there to be an effective acquisition strategy, it really has to take into account creative performance. The best way to say it is the better the creative, the better the overall performance. And really, in order to increase overall ROI, there really needs to be an alignment between the creative strategy and the UA strategy, or the creative strategy must be a component of that overall UA strategy.
That's really interesting. So you mentioned the importance of ads and creatives. Could you expand on how Mobvista is helping to scale apps through ad creative design and discuss some of the ad formats that you see succeeding? What methodologies and tools do you employ to test and iterate ad creatives for improved performance?
I would say that the highest performing ad formats are going to be those creatives that have interactivity. For example, playable ads. Those are going to yield the highest performance. In fact, interestingly, nearly 70% of all installs on Mintegral have that playable functionality within the ad format. But one key to creative performance that often gets overlooked is ad fatigue. Many times a growth manager will see a decline in installs. They'll adjust their bids, they'll adjust their budgets. They might even adjust the network where they're trying to acquire users. But in reality, if you look at the creatives, sometimes they're stagnant, 3, 6, 9 months, a year or two old, I've heard in some cases. And in reality, if you just change your creative strategy to have some new, fresh, and relevant creatives, it could lead to a better creative strategy and achieving those goals. Another key thing in regards to creative is driving down the overall time to get those creatives to market, as well as the cost. And one way to achieve that is through DCO, otherwise known as dynamic creative optimization. And that really allows the optimization of creative elements. That could be the background image, the font, the colors, buttons, logos. And it really needs to be based off, target user characteristics, which could be special attributes, interests, preferences, behaviors in real time. And all of that can be done using machine learning and algorithms. You're able to actually use machine learning and algorithms to compare what creatives are working well, and then rearrange those creatives to really find what the true optimal combination can be. And all of these are key inputs to what Mobvista's strategy is, which is really two-pronged, having both managed service as well as self-service offerings. Touching on the managed service piece, there's two areas. One, we have one of our companies is Mindworks, which is a in-house creative agency for playables. We help a lot of our clients that don't have a design team build playables on their behalf. But the one I want to spend a little bit more time on is TopWorks, considering that we're talking about global strategies. TopWorks is one of our businesses that is a network of over 200 different creative agencies worldwide. And TopWorks is really equipped with the data and insights to really drive local and regional creative content with a really heavy focus on video. And while technology and efficiency is great, when expanding to new markets to really achieve success really requires cultural relevance. And so we've broadened that network at TopWorks to include some of the official marketing partnerships, like our collaboration with TikTok, which really allows for deeper connections with audiences. And then from a self-service perspective, we have a self-service creative platform, element-based creative management platform called Play Turbo. And the pillars of this platform really give free hand control to designers. And those pillars include things like screen recording, batch editing of videos, AI dubbing, AI translation. And then from a true playable perspective, we have a library of over 200 templates that a designer can choose from to just be able to build a playable very quickly and easily. But then we also have, think about a white canvas or a whiteboard. A designer can build from scratch. But again, what the idea is we want to give total control to that designer to effectively build out their creative executions with ease.
Wow, really insightful stuff. So, can you also discuss the integration of mobile advertising with the other marketing channels such as social media and influencer marketing to create cross-channel campaigns?
Yes, I would say that in-app advertising as well as closed media ecosystems like social, they have a distinct purpose, and they target users in different contexts.
Mhm.
And this combined approach can really effectively engage users across multiple touch points. Now, for apps and brands, acquiring users via social is absolutely crucial, especially reaching audiences that are engaged in short form video content.
Mhm.
These unique and compelling creatives are really tailored to these formats as they really drive higher increases in user engagement.
Mhm.
But one of the key tactics that should be employed as well is the use of influencers, especially micro influencers, because they really boast highly engaged followers. And this is really valuable when going overseas, especially into emerging markets. Now, despite the challenges when trying to go overseas into these emerging markets, the idea is really to identify and leverage these micro influencers that are on regional platforms like Douyin in China, Kauai in Brazil, because not only does it really allow for the success of the campaign, it truly allows for just improving overall market penetration.
Okay, okay. So we live in a digital world, and as more and more mobile apps aims to expand to new markets, what challenges do you foresee for these apps to scale, and how can Mobvista help overcome these obstacles?
Um, we have found that app developers, definitely need help expanding into new markets. But one of the other obstacles that they face is finding the right tools and services when they're working on that expansion plan. And on top of that, knowing where to find the right tools and services to execute against that plan. As mentioned, Mobvista is a company that's really focused on the app developer through that full life cycle. That term or phrase I coined earlier, which is from infancy to full maturity, really kind of tells the story of what Mobvista is and does. And in fact, actually, I actually can share a slide with you right now that kind of really goes over exactly everything that Mobvista is and does, and I think it'll really kind of drive it home for you. Just one
Sure, sure.
second as I share my screen.
Yeah.
Do you see a slide that says Mobvista product matrix?
Yeah, I can see that.
Excellent. So this actually, in a nutshell, captures everything that Mobvista, the umbrella brand, does. So
Mm-hmm.
as an app developer is just getting started, they've built the app, they want to know more about the user behavior. Now this can be about advertising and in-app advertising and in-app purchases, but could also just be used in regards to how an app developer sees a user going from one level to the next, the different designs of the actual app. InStep's game analytics. It's the number one SDK that's been installed behind Google and Meta. And this is really powerful for app developers to understand more about their users. As the app is getting larger, the app developer wants to start monetizing the inventory available on their app. And as you can see there, the programmatic arm of Vista is Mintegral that can help app developers monetize their inventory.
Yeah.
Now, as you move up the value chain next to user acquisition, you'll see Mintegral again. Again, we handle both the supply side and the demand side of the programmatic ecosystem. So we help app developers gain new users through those other app developers and publishers that are available on the Mintegral exchange. But you're
Mm-hmm.
going to see two other names next to user acquisition. One is
Yeah.
NativeX. NativeX is our in-house media agency that help app developers with their UA strategy and the tactical implementation. Outside of being able to acquire users on Mintegral, NativeX can help app developers acquire users across social. So that could be Facebook, Google, TikTok. That could be the other SDK ad networks like a Unity and AppLove and IronSource.
Mm-hmm.
And the other name that you'll see next to that is XMP.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was NativeX was logging into all these different platforms. They'd have 8 different screens to log in. And so what they did is they built a tool internally for themselves to be able to log into one interface to create, manage, and optimize campaigns. And it was so powerful as far as a reduction in time spent, overall increase in efficiency, but it also increased the ROI for their clients that we branded this XMP and we started offering this to the market. As you move up that value chain, creative is very important. There is the MindWorks team that I mentioned earlier. Think of them as the in-house creative agency that is able to build playables on behalf of their clients. And it is that team that also built out a self-service platform to make their job easier, to build out playables at scale, which we've branded Play Turbo.
Yeah.
Now, as an app developer is getting really large, they could be spending millions per year or even millions per month in cloud costs to both GCP or AWS. InStep's SpotMax. We've built a cloud cost optimization platform that could really drive down the overall costs that these app developers are spending on cloud. And so that, I would say, rounds out exactly or is a good snapshot of what it is that Mobvista is and does and how we help app developers with their expansion plans.
Well, thanks for sharing that slide. I am sure it would give a better understanding to people who are watching this video. Uh, so, outside of measurement, what are some current trends that you are noticing in the ad tech industry, and how Mobvista is adopting to these shifts?
So there's definitely some current trends that are affecting both publishers and advertisers just in the overall digital advertising space. One would definitely be diversifying media channels. Another would be optimizing for LTV with a much higher emphasis on retention. There's definitely a focus on emerging markets, which we've touched on at a few points today. And then also just ensuring privacy standards are upheld. So more granularly, and touching on a previous topic, is also a higher emphasis on creatives. Granular targeting is becoming challenging in the industry for marketers. So it increases the overall importance of creative production and creative execution. But another macro trend we're seeing is just CTV overall, and that can include mobile to CTV campaigns, but it could also include the overall, cross-device advertising as it's really gaining momentum. But I'd say the one area where the industry is not caught up yet, especially in CTV, is just attribution is still not where it needs to be just yet.
Mhm. Okay. So moving forward, looking to the future, where do you see the market for mobile technology heading in the next 5 to 10 years, and how does Mob Vista plan to fit into that future?
I would say that the two key areas that are going to be really important leading into the next 5 to 10 years are also what our mission is based on. So I would say the first one, as I mentioned earlier, is that be the bridge, bridging the East and West with really deep ad tech and MarTech expertise. Now, many companies start West and try to go East and really have a lot of trouble in doing so. Given that we started East and are going West and are being successful at that so far, we really feel that we're set up for success to really achieve that mission. But another key area is something that we like to call glocalization. And that's adapting to new and local markets through local expertise, but with global solutions. And this is why we arm clients with tools, again, for analytics, optimization, monetization, uh, and user acquisition, but really with more of like a local or regional twist so that we can really adapt easily and quickly based on the needs of app developers.
That's really interesting. And with this, we have come to the last question for this interview. I would just like to know that the competition in the technology industry is fierce, which because of which constant innovation and refinement from developers and marketers are necessary. So, what advice would you offer to these professionals looking to optimize their campaigns and stay ahead in this competitive landscape?
You're definitely correct. There's definitely a constant need for refinement for the overall app developer process, as well as refining the overall advertising strategies. And that could be both in-app advertising as well as in-app purchases. But there's also a need for the refinement of the processes that go into that user acquisition, creative, and also as an app developer decides whether or not to continue outsourcing or bringing things in-house. And so the advice that I would give to app developers is truly find solutions that have an app developer's best interest in mind. If someone's just trying to push a product, a platform, or a solution, but they really don't understand the pain points or the needs of the app developer, I would say go in the other direction immediately. Really focus on those that have a client first approach. Um, Companies and platforms and products that really have the pain points and needs and understand that from an app developer's perspective. Companies that are actually willing to do the homework, have those collaborative discussions, be able to have these discovery sessions to learn about what those pain points are, allowing app developers to share what those are. But not just that, allowing the ability for companies like Mobvista to help uncover pain points that an app developer might not even know that they have. And this actually creates a huge opportunity for companies like Mobvista, a hub, a true one-stop shop, to be able to bolt on other products, platforms, solutions, and services that are really taking that client-first approach that is addressing their needs. Now, Mobvista as a whole, in closing, Mobvista as a whole, we have 1,000 employees at our company. Nearly 2/3 of them are working in product and engineering. That means that we have nearly 700 people, just shy of 700 people, focused on building best of breed digital advertising technologies, but with this client first approach that are really focusing on the pain points and needs. And not only are they building against the pain points and needs of today, they're trying to anticipate the pain points and needs of tomorrow and building against that now. So that's one of the ways that I feel that Mobvista has been strong and will continue to be effective going forward.
Wow, amazing. So that's the end of this interview. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and the conversation was really insightful.
Excellent. Thank you for your time today. It was great having the opportunity to discuss all things app developers and what their needs and pain points are and how Mobvista can help.
Definitely. Thank you so much.